Okay, so I'm looking at news reports on YouTube talking about the LA fires, and the comment section are bonkers. One thing that people keep saying over and over again is what caused these fires? Where did the fires come from? And the whole tone of the questions is like they're pointing to some deep conspiracy that they just need to get to the bottom of, that we need to figure out. Okay, so a couple of months ago, I made a video talking about how the area I lived in was hit by the hurricanes. The things I didn't mention about that in that video, I don't think I mentioned it, is that I live over 100 miles, maybe close to 200 miles from the coast. So how was I affected by the hurricane so greatly? Like the area I lived in, the city, most of the city, the power was out for over a week. I just kind of got lucky in the sense that the little area I live in, our power was only out for a few days, but there were areas of our town where the power was out for several weeks. And I don't live in a tiny town. It's not a huge city, but the city I live in is several 100,000 people. At least the metropolitan area is definitely several 100,000 people. So it's not like we don't have resources. What does it have to do with the California wildfires? It's climate change. It's plain and simple. The hurricanes become more frequent because the waters are getting warmer. So on the East Coast and the Gulf area, you're going to have more hurricanes. In effect, it's getting wetter. Usually, that's what's happening. It's getting wetter, getting moister, getting hotter, whatever. So we're going to have more hurricanes, right? That's what's going to happen to us. Florida's going to be getting wetter and more hurricanes, and that's what's happening on the East Coast. And then what's happening on the West Coast is that water is going to become less reliable, and it's going to get hotter and drier. There's a lot of factors going on there. One, the earth is getting warmer, but on top of that, a lot of the water that feeds that part of the country is coming from snowfall in the mountains. Think about, like, for example, the Colorado River. As the earth warms up, you're getting less of a snow cap in these mountains, less snow cap. What normally happens is that the snow accumulates, it melts, that feeds into these rivers. That's one component of it. But just in general, it's getting warmer, it's getting drier over there. So how is this happening? Well, it happens anyway, but now that part of the country is what you call a dry Mediterranean climate. So the similar thing there is that, quite frankly, Arizona, California, there probably shouldn't be that many people living there anyway. Just like in Florida, there probably shouldn't be over 20 million people living in Florida. But when you put in, the reason I say that is because basically the lower half of Florida is a tropical climate. And all of that wetland, you can think of a swamp or a wetland as being a slow-moving river. But what it does, it kind of relieves whatever hurricanes that have been occurring there. That it absorbs that water, it absorbs the flooding. So in order for people to move down there, they've drained a lot of the wetlands. You're getting more water. You have less wetlands to absorb that water. You're going to get more flooding. And on top of that, you're going to get greater hurricanes because, like I said, hurricanes are charged by warm waters. And then, like I said, on the West Coast, going back to the whole thing with the fires, is that it's getting drier. There's always been fires out there. What causes these fires? Well, yeah, they can be caused by people being negligent with camping and not putting out their fires when they're camping. That's a possibility. But also just lightning strikes. Fire occurs in nature. It's a thing. But because we're changing the climate, those fires are going to be stronger. Then when you try to get water to put out the fires, well, the area has always been kind of, it's a dry area. Water has always been a bit stable, it's not as plentiful out there as it is on the East Coast. I know a lot of Americans who live on the East Coast have not really went out to the West Coast. Funny thing is, even when you go out to the West Coast, specifically kind of the Southwest, talking about Arizona and the southern part of California and Nevada, the first thing you notice is that it's not nearly as green as it is on the East Coast. The times I've gone out and visit the West Coast and stayed out there for more than a week, when I get back, I'm just kind of stunned by how green the area I grew up in is compared to there. So yeah, that's it. And guess what? It's going to get worse. There's no conspiracy to it, other than the conspiracy of us not to actually address changes in the climate.